Kiru Kishokumar. She's a certified integrative nutritional health coach, educator, international speaker. She is a weight loss specialist, fasting both for the body and mind specialist, gut health expert, pharmacologist, intuitive practitioner. As an integrative nutritional health coach, she helps and looks at the aspects of one's personal health, physical, mental, including nutrition, well-being, career, relationship, and helps her clients transform their lives. All her approaches are through science-based tools that are unique to her fasting methods, gut repair, diet plans, which help many of her clients reset their health, weight loss, and achieve their goals. The unique approaches have led her to work with multiple individuals, multiple corporates, top CEOs, working mothers, and many other people just like you all over the world. So today, I'd like to welcome her on the show. Kiru, welcome. Nice to see you again. How are you doing?
Hi, Christian. Good to be with you today. And thank you so much for the invite. It's a pleasure to come on board and have a chat with you. And yeah, I'm excited.
Yes, we've been meaning to do this for a while, and I just checking on the left-hand screen. The last podcast I did, we were talking for like 25 minutes, and I was like, it's not even recording. So I'm just like making sure the record's on. So we definitely didn't record. And obviously, Kiru, your credentials back you up. So does your personality. I know you on a personal level, which is great. I mean, our first interaction, I just could tell you was a, genuinely caring person. You have a deep, warm heart and a passion to share and help other people. But also, you do spend a lot of your time researching, studying, making sure that the science backs up your claims, and working with people from all over the world, helping them achieve their own personal goals. Now, we could sit here today and talk about anything, but one thing I wanted to talk about in particular was fasting. Obviously, your experience, your education, and everything else. The first question I have for you is, how did you get into fasting, and what was your first experience with fasting?
Well, to be frank, I was never a fasting person. The word fasting, I was totally against it. So basically, as we all know, every community knows about fasting, and somehow the other, whether it's a religious purpose or spiritualism, whatever reason, people are fasting at some point of the year, right? So in my case, my parents used to fast at least 5 or 6 times a week, and different types of fasting. So for me, I was scared to fast. One thing, I kept on thinking, okay, I'm going to not have energy at all. So if I don't have my breakfast, I will not have energy for the rest of the day. And secondly, I didn't have a clue about the benefits or physiological. Being a pharmacologist, we were never taught about fasting, and food is, medicine. We were taught something different. So for me, 7 years ago, 9 years ago, actually, I was not focusing in my health, and I was actually focusing in my work, my business, and everything. And as a result, I got into a lot of trouble, like, weight gain, bloatedness, digestive issues, low immunity, you name it. And what happened was, I kept on, because of the low immunity, I had to go on medications, especially gut health. I was on medications, and I was on antibiotics, because every time something hits, like if there's a flu, I'll be sick. So I was going on antibiotics on one after the other, and things didn't help at all. So it just kept on like a vicious cycle. And again, on top of that, I was annoyed the fact that my skin, and I looked than I should be. And I was gaining weight, so I started dieting. And diet weight, few within few weeks. But what happened was I started gaining weight, and I used to work out. I worked out very, it was a continuous workout every single day at the gym, but nothing helped me after I got into that plateau. So this is when I was introduced to fasting by my spiritual father. And of course, I got into this 5 days of fasting, and for spiritual reasons. But what happened was, because it was spiritual, I was convinced to do it. And when I went on a liquid fast, the first 2 days was really hard. I ended up sleeping most of the time because I felt if I'm up, I'm not going to have energy. So with that, the moment I started feeling better on the third day, I was given the guidance. I started feeling this is something different to what I was actually having as a mindset. And that's when I started losing weight. My 5 days finished, my skin started clearing up, and my digestion, especially the bloatedness, went off. That's my first step into fasting. And I started getting into the depth of it by just learning about fasting and understanding the research. And really what made me go into this fasting lifestyle is the knowledge. So it's about almost now 8 years I'm leading a fasted lifestyle. The more and more I got to know about the miracles and how the body is meant to be on fasted state at times, just gave me much more confidence. And I was actually feeling proud of myself that I'm doing something good to my body. So that's my story. Yeah.
Yes, great. I mean, and you definitely leaned into something that was more, proven to be beneficial. I guess, I've been fasting for some time. I don't fast now. I was fasting once a week, every week. I fasted for Ramadan. When you're just talking about that now, and I even ask you that question, it gets me thinking about myself. And when I was 15 years old, I lost a lot of weight fast, okay? And I guess you could call it fasting, but uneducated fasting, because I was pretty much like starving myself. I wasn't like not eating anything, but I was barely eating enough. I would push my body for as long as I felt like I could, and then I would eat. Because at the time I didn't have the education of like, okay, I need to eat fruit. And I was 15, there was no exposure like it is now. All I knew was the foods that I'm eating are not conducive to how I want to feel and how I want to look. So I got to remove them. And what was quite, as you say in there, that's why it kind of struck the memory back. Is what was quite bizarre about that experience is, although I was eating very minimum, I was able to think sharper. My academics improved in school. I was faster. I was fitter. I was made captain of the football team and rugby team. Everything in my life was improving. Now, obviously, as I started taking along this fitness journey, because I lost a lot of weight fast because of just lack of calories, to be honest, I started educating myself more in terms of, okay, I need to nourish my body. I need to replenish what's not going in and help the, cell regeneration and, rebuilding of the cells. So that was amazing. How you stumbled across, it's kind of taken me back to where I was, my first experience, I guess, with fasting. So, one of the misconceptions I often hear people talking about, especially when people come to me, first of all, when I ever see a client or a potential client and they want to do intermittent fasting, I ask them why. Okay, what's the reason? And usually it's often for the wrong reasons. It's for, reasons of just weight loss. Now, granted, you might lose weight because you're eating less food, but what is your thoughts on fasting? Would you consider it to be a weight loss plan, or would you consider it to be a wellness plan?
Well, it's actually fasting. First first of all, I always say to my social media is it's not a diet. I mean, if you're looking for a short-term fix, which many are at the moment, we expect everything in the press of a button, right? Diet plan, or it's not it's not, as you said, it's not starving either. So basically, if you weight loss and if you're coming into fasting, yes, you can attain it. And fasting, from my point of view, I always say it's one of the best tools that you can have if you want to lose weight and doing it in the right way. Because what happens is, it's not like you're only going to lose weight. You're going to have the healing benefits as well. See, one must understand is basically we were not meant to be eating all the time. I mean, and naturally, our body has its own intelligence to heal ourselves. And if you really look at it, fasting is not something that is like you're applying as a diet. Every one of us are fasting when we are at sleep, right? At least 7 to 8 hours. So coming from the caveman lifestyle, our body is not meant to be in a fed state, if that may make sense, right? So what's going to happen is when you are intentionally withdrawing from food for a period, for example, whether it's 13 hours or 15 hours or 17 hours, what's going to happen is you're allowing your body to become a fat burning machine instead of a sugar burner. So most of the people, what's happening is, as you said, when you restrict your calories, when you do any sort of diet, what's happening is you're just messing around with your sugar burning mode, but you're not tapping into the fat burning mode. So what's going to happen is you're not going to be able to allow your body to go in search of that stored fat, which the body had stored for years. So if your goal is for weight loss, and one must understand is, then yes, you doing an intermittent fasting, a little bit beyond intermittent fasting. We normally address intermittent fasting is like 13 to 15 hours is intermittent fasting. You're getting into healing. What kind of healing is you're going to have growth hormones. You're going to have when you hit 17 hours onwards, you're going to get into autophagy. So where your ketones are released, and ketones are the obvious sign that your body is now burning fat. Now, what's happening is if you withdraw from food for this kind of period, your body is in a healing process. And the moment you break your fast and so the first thing you put into your mouth is going to be your fed state, right? But we must understand, after you break your fast, the period that your eating window is also a healing process. So the biggest problem here is because we have enough information out there in social media. Intermittent fasting is a very common concept these days. So what's happening is people doing incorrectly without the right guidance. I mean, you're fasting, but you're feeding the wrong food. That's going to be a big issue. And you're fasting for weight loss, but you're not aware what's happening for your detoxification, the other healing process. And you're not hydrating enough or sleeping properly or de-stressing yourself properly. This is going to put you in trouble, or you might not see results. So my advice is, if you have your set goals, whether it's to do with weight loss or whether you just want to detox yourself or heal yourself from some chronic disease, or even if you do a 3-day water fast, you're going to be able to just have a deep healing, like any musculoskeletal injuries. These things can be healed as well. And these are science. I mean, people have, studies have been done in human studies as well. So, but if you got to do it in the right way. And you need to make sure that you're eating right, you're breaking the fast right. and you're cycling the fasting. It's not like you found keto diet working for you, so you're just doing keto diet on every day you're on a keto diet. No, our body doesn't work that way. And it same applies to fasting. You like your intermittent fasting, you like your autophagy, so you're just keeping on doing the same fasting again and again, you're going to get stuck. Okay. I hope I answered your question.
Perfect. Very good. And as you're talking there, I'm just stemming up some more thoughts, which I can ask you, which is brilliant, because I'm sure our viewers would be thinking the same. So the first thing is, obviously, if you're not fasting, then you're running off sugar pretty much. So this is where people get the crash in the energy, the blood sugar levels, start getting the cravings, and the leptin levels go up, because the body is used to running off an energy that's very short-lived and it's digested quick. So unless you consistently putting it in, then you're going to be craving for it. That being said, do you recommend that when people are following an intermittent fasting type diet, as you mentioned, 12 to 15 hours, or even more so, that they follow a low glycemic or low carbohydrate style of diet? What would be your recommendation for the
Absolutely. type of... So as I said, what's going to happen is, if you can merge your diet, the right choices of eating, I don't like the word diet. I normally always keep away from, because for me, the moment you say diet, it's like a negative thing in your mind. So I always say that if you know how to nourish yourself with the right type of food, then you're going to maximize your benefits of fasting. So basically, how that looks like is, I like to encourage people to go on ketogenic diet. So when you eat in a ketogenic way, obviously, I'm sure most people know what's a keto diet. Is basically you're withdrawing yourself from refined carbs and sugars, and you're keeping away the bad fats, and you're keeping away the toxic processed food. So that means literally you're focusing in good quality, antibiotic, hormone-free protein, whether it's an animal protein or plant-based, that's fine, it's up to them. But also you're focusing a lot on good fat, like avocados, MCT, and even the coconut oil, organic virgin coconut oil is good. Olive oil, all these things are the good options. And grass-fed butter, ghee, grass-fed, all these are good fat. And when you keep away from the carbs, as you said, yes, what's going to happen is, the moment you put something into your mouth as you break your fast, primarily if it is going to be carbohydrate, your sugar is going to hike up. So the faster it goes up, the faster it's going to come down. It's like a wave. So what's going to happen is, when that happens, you're going to feel hungry. And another good thing, why are we fasting? We are fasting to have the benefits, to have ketones, to become a fat burner. When you break your fast with good fat and then gradually bring in good carbs, or even good carbs would be the veggies, the greens, prebiotic food, probiotic food, feeding your good bacteria, then your body to go on ketosis is going to be prolonged despite of you eating. So here's a cool thing. I mean, we have keto meters, and one of the brand I love is Keto Mojo. So what we do is, we just test our glucose and ketones before we break fast. And then after breaking fast, for example, I break my fast with avocado and MCT. And after about half an hour to 45 minutes, or even after 1 hour, when I check my ketones, I'm still on ketosis. So that's a cool thing, because this is what we need. That means our body is still healing. So I personally would advise anyone to make sure that they're merging it. There's a good marriage between the fast and the feeding time and the choices that you feed.
Yeah, brilliant.
In order to benefit, yeah.
And, if we go back to our ancestral days and even, caveman days, if you think about it, whoever's listening is, we would be out hunting food pretty much. That's what we would be doing.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Or fruit that would be there would be to give us the sustained or the needed energy to burst and perform so we could catch something and kill, drag back, and then feast on it, and then not have to eat for a certain amount of time. I watched this brief documentary about the
Anacardos, yeah.
And these snakes, they can devour
anacondas.
Anaconda, yeah. They can devour an whole pig, and then they don't eat for 3 months. They fed because it's slowly digesting. So the benefits of obviously choosing slow digesting foods like fats and proteins, of course, is you stay fuller for longer. Obviously, it doesn't spike your insulin. And rightly, what Kiru was mentioning there is, what you're going to be doing is you're going to be giving your body or the brain an energy source to use, which is going to allow you to stay in ketosis. Because if you're in ketosis and the brain is using ketones for an energy system or energy supply, if you then change that and put in some carbohydrates, which are fastly digesting and quicker digesting, the brain then is going to jump onto this source of energy. Whereas if you put in, you talked about monosaturated fats and, very easily digestible fats, MCT oil is drinkable. So that is a fast digesting fat. It's not like you put it in a lump of lard, you put it in monosaturated fats, avocados, then the body can utilize that for an energy source as well. The question I have for you is, because a lot of the people who come to me and discuss intermittent fasting usually want to do it because they think that it's an opportunity for them to starve themselves and justify that by eating whatever they want, and you see it all the time. People avoid eating. In fact, if you look at most obese people, you would think they're eating consistently. What they usually do, they go for long periods of time without eating, and then they just eat rubbish, So I want to find out, why do you want to fast? Okay. And is it sustainable? So one of the questions I have for you, Kiru, is how would you work with somebody who struggles to follow anything? Okay. Where you put them on a plan and they deviating from the plan and they're eating off the plan. And now you've asked them to not eat anything for one whole day or for X amount of times. Would you nurture them into a plan? Or what would be your advice for anybody who wants to do this fasting but struggles to follow a diet?
So basically, if the person is not willing to get to a plan, right? And I have come across people like that. So for example, they want to lose weight and have all these things that they have as things to do list, or they achieve one day achievable targets. But when you ask them to do a set pattern, okay, you have to do this type of fasting, you need to manage your macros when you eat, and you need to make sure that you're avoiding these things. They may try for 1 or 2 days and they just go back to their rhythm, or they just don't want to do it, or they just do it but not do everything properly, like all the protocols, and then call it a failure. Then they badge themselves saying, oh, I'm a failure, I just cannot, it's maybe this pattern is not working for me. I mean, I have come across clients in this with this kind of problems, and it's not a problem, it's your mindset. So literally, for such people, I would sit down with them and go through the no, it has to be like this. So what's your reason? Why do you want to lose weight? And just go to the core, because what's happening here, it's because they don't know the why.
Exactly.
And they're not attached to it. It's the same thing that you will tell anyone who comes and asks you, how do I become successful? How do I live my dream life? It's simply, why do you want this?
Yeah.
If you really, 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 really want know why you want this and how badly you want this, are you willing to put in everything that you have to? So that will be the first approach for me. So it's basically a mind shift coaching instead of a nutritional coaching, because now once they realize and they become comfortable with their whys, and it'll be their protocol. It's not my protocol. It's them who's going to come up. It's their plan. So I kind of work together in such a way, not as a coach, but like a facilitator who will kind of indirectly influencing them to say yes to my plan, but it becomes their plan, if that makes sense. So it's kind of a mindset coaching for me, and also a little bit more self-awareness. And this is where I teach them the self-worthiness, because sometimes often people tend to want this outer looks.
Yeah.
It's always to do with the looks. So they kind of, it's like, oh, I really want to look like my friends, or I just want to be the same size as them, or whatever, the perfect figure, the perfect life, or whatever. And those are not coming from deep within. So it's very difficult for you to achieve it. So when I kind of make that shift, now they have come to the better ground to play the game with me. Then it's the matter of fact where I'm going to be educating them how your body is going to react for different things. For example, if you do a intermittent, like 17-hour autophagy fast, you're literally allowing your body, your cellular intelligence wakes up and goes and eat all the baddies, the debris, the pathogens, even the cancer cells are destroyed by your own body. How cool is that? So while you have the ketones, now what they do is they break the fast with a burger or McDonald's chips. And that is load of toxins. So what's going to happen is that toxin is like it's like you're sweeping your floor, or your wife is vacuuming the floor room, and you keep on putting rubbish on the other side. It's literally, you're not allowing your body to do a cleanup.
It's funny, on it.
So this is, so when I educate them and when I give them, and then comes the challenges, your type of lifestyle is hard. How can you fast? And it's boring. I'm going to have, boring food. But the moment I educate them with the recipes, how delicious your food can be, then it's the matter of changing everything around. Of course, it's going to take time. So this is why I kind of sometimes do 3 months period of coaching for individuals, because it's a life transformation.
Brilliant. I mean, that is what we do as a coach, really, is, we become a mentor, and the why has to be strong. I'll give you 2 examples. When I was on a, JT Fox event, and first of all, JT Fox always talks about nobody wants to be sold to, but everybody wants to buy.
He wants to buy.
That's kind of what you're just saying there. You kind of present in a way that they want to take on the diet, but you haven't told them to follow the diet, essentially. Now, when I was on the JT Fox event, one of the tactics we had to do and the tasks we had to do was to write down our biggest problem in our business, because JT Fox is a wealth coach. And I wrote at the top of the page, my biggest problem was that I didn't have enough time to do everything I wanted to do. Okay. JT Fox also talks about vertical thinking instead of horizontal thinking. And it's what we're talking about now is, what is the why? Stop thinking superficial, on the surface. You need to go deep, not because you want to look like him or her. Why? What's your motive? It needs to be deep, it needs to be strong. So I wrote on the page, my biggest problem in my business is I don't have enough time to do everything I want to do. And then the task was to come up with at least 20 things that we could do to improve, or that are causing us to not have this problem. And I wrote down, I'm having to do this in the morning, reply to this, I'm having to do this, and I'm just going on listing. And after around, 3 minutes of doing this exercise and loads of ink on the paper, I just stopped and I thought, well, first of all, I had a breakthrough. That was the point. I went vertical and I realized the
Yeah.
cause. The cause was never that I don't have enough time to do it. The cause was I don't trust people enough to let people help me. And because I don't have enough people helping me, I'm having to do all these things on my own.
Oh,
So, so that was my problem. And, since then, I'm still working on it now and allowing more people to come on board and, give a bit more trust and, observe rather than control. But to answer, to go back to what you were saying, if anybody wants to do anything goal related, if it's weight loss or if it's improving life and detoxification, why? What is the reason? The reason usually needs to be bigger than you. It can't
mm,
be because I want to try something different. Well, do a bungee jump if that's the case. It needs to be, my daughter is 14 years old and I want her to look up to me like a superwoman. I want to be that role model in her life to lead her into the best life she can live. It needs to be, you know what? I'm tired of being alone on my own. I'm tired of having low self-esteem and not loving myself. I need to take care of myself so I love myself more, so more people see the love within me. These deep-rooted subconscious drivers. Ask yourself that. Now, one thing I want to jump into, Kiru, you mentioned a lot about the mind, and also, part of your kind of expertise is fasting of the body and the mind. So, what do you mean exactly by this detoxing of the mind? Is this something that you work with your clients with?
yeah, certainly. So basically, physiological aspect is, as you said, when you fast, anything above, say, 17 onwards, especially 24 hours. When you hit 24 hours, you're literally getting the gut reboot. So there's stem cells produced. So MIT, released studies where they found people who were fasting for 24 hours, they had new stem cells production. So now in your intestine, stem cells are the ones which go to the area which needs attention, and it goes and heals. So mind, your brain, your mood, your everything is controlled by your gut. This is your second brain. So when you fix, and especially your happy hormones, then those neurotransmitters like dopamine, serotonin, all these things are produced in your gut. So when you do 24 hours and beyond, especially 48 hours, your dopamine receptors are reset. And also you're healing your gut. So that means you're getting good set of armies of bacteria. So that will change your mood. So here's a very good example. So this is one of the reasons I like encouraging people to come into my community, which I call the Reboot Tribe. And I coach people to learn fasting in a community, simply because that vibe will also keep you in that track. I forgot to mention that this was actually for your first question. I mean, the question before, where people cannot keep aligned. When you do it in a community, it's very good. And then when such thing happens, we have been noticing people all of a sudden who were quiet in the beginning of it's a 15-day program beginning, by they come to the time of longer fast, they are the ones who are like communicating and bubbly, and they're like in their mood shifts totally. And I have great testimonies, simply because your fasting physiologically, what's going to happen is your stomach is getting healed, and your dopamine receptors, so your GABA is released. That's going to calm you down. Your dopamine receptors are getting reset. So that means your happy hormones become like you're buzzed with happy hormones. And now that's one aspect. The other aspect, fasting is healing. So as you said, initially ketones, mental clarity, better energy, focus, all these are happening. And your happy hormones are, so your joy level is elevated, right? Now, what I also do is I teach a type of meditation where people can, in this period, especially during the longer fast period, where all these beautiful things are happening, where they focus in themselves. So this meditation is all about self-love. Now, you and I know, and many people will agree with me, when you talk about self-care, it's all the first thing that comes to your mind is like a spa day, a massage day, a bubble bath, or just sitting in front of the TV, Netflix, all this. But self-care and self-love is literally tapping into yourself. So when you're in a joyful level, so, I teach them to rate themselves what I call a joy meter. What is your joy level in your joy meter? The moment your elevated state, that means that's the state where in a grateful manner, you're grateful for what you have. Your gratitude is higher. When that happens, when you do this meditation in that form, you're able to appreciate what you have. 90%, when people go and stand in front of the mirror, the first thing that comes, unless otherwise you have programmed yourself properly, is most of the time, especially ladies, oh, I have a belly. Oh, I wish I had put on my thighs. All these don'ts and dislikes, but we very, unless otherwise consciously, we are aware what the power of self-love and positive words, it's very easy for us to get caught to that, right? So during this kind of healing process, while you're physiologically getting all these benefits, when you focus and tap into your inner being, the spirit inside you, and with meditation, with whether you believe in God or not is not a matter. It's nothing to do with any religion. I just tell people to focus in themselves. And when you focus in you, that's when you will be able to get into your own intuitive rhythm. And in that way, I just guide people through my guided meditation, how to purely, wholeheartedly love yourself for what you are. Love your heart for beating every single day, whether you choose to say, pay attention or not. And love your liver for functioning every single day. So the moment you start doing those things, you really, really get into a different level of healed human being. And the good part is, and this is again, so many psychological journals are out there and many would agree with what I'm saying right now. The moment you shift and start loving yourself truly deeply in this manner with fasting and everything, the breakthrough comes in your finance. The breakthrough comes in your marriage. Because all these are interrelated. So this is integrative nutrition. Integrative health is basically everything is interrelated.
Brilliant.
So meditation is really something that I bring in, but again with science, and I teach people why are they doing it.
Yeah. So a couple of things there. First of all, obviously for our viewers, the gut is the second brain. There's a lot of signals going on. It's thinking for itself. And what happens is a lot of our intuitive, deep feelings come from our gut. Now, people mistake these intuitive responses to hunger. And, when you're stressed, people get, the digestive enzymes are not working as hard, or the stomach is whatever. Some people get bloated, some people get hungry, whatever it may be, but the stomach's affected. So the fast is going to allow you to be more in tune with what your subconscious is telling you, first of all, right? The second thing is obviously the meditation. We talked about love. Now, I mentioned this before you got into that section, is most people are looking for companionship in life. If you go down to the core of this, we were working a lot on our marketing studies and campaigns over the last couple of years. And when you get down to the core of it, most people are looking for a partner who sees them for more than they see themselves, right?
Yeah.
They want a husband or a wife, they want that. And if they don't, it's because they've never experienced what that feels like, okay? The only way you can receive love is to love yourself. As Kiru was mentioning there, everything changes in your life because it's not a fact that you obtain more abundance. It's the fact that love is all around us and we block ourselves from it. So by opening ourselves up, we just receive more. It's already there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That is brilliant, and I like the fact that you're teaching this. And we and you had a conversation, recently before we did this podcast, and we spoke about the fact of, there are, your immune system, and you've got defense mechanisms inside your body that is fighting crime inside the world that's called you. So there's a way to detect this, and it's about being more in tune with yourself. Listening to your thoughts. A lot of what we spoke about here has been about the benefits of fast to allow you to see the truths, really. The benefits of, fasting of the mind is to understand yourself more. So that is brilliant. And definitely, I mean, fasting is, it's not even related to food. And food is not just related to the things you eat. It's everything that comes into us. It's thoughts,
Absolutely.
the sounds, it's the touches, it's the people, it's nutrition. It's going into us, and our body is only using what we put in. Now, if there's a lot of toxicity coming in through the mouth, through the nose, through the eyes, through the ears, through your surroundings, then you are going to be very toxic. So another question I have for you, Kiru, because we mentioned this briefly, is obviously, your suggestions is to break your fast with, some fats, of course, because that's what you mentioned. What I've seen a bit of a problem with people is when they try to, consume the amount of calories they need or feel like they need in a very short period and window. If they've been fasting for, say, traditionally 16 hours, 8-hour window you've eaten, and let's say they bodybuilding and they want to obtain a muscle and they feel like they need to consume 3,000 calories or whatever it may be. What tends to happen from experience as well, I've noticed that the stomach like shrinks in size, or at least it's very more difficult to consume that food. So the benefits for me would be like, look, your body can utilize the ideal should be that your body can be more more efficient of less fuel. Not why would you want to have a car that needs you to spend 1,000 dirhams to fill it up if you've got a efficient car? So, but people feel the other way around. They want to eat a lot of food and then they want to lose weight. So first of all, what would your suggestions be for people who are struggling to consume the calories they feel like they need to maintain the muscle mass, but find it hard to get it into that window?
So basically, that comes with an myth, I would say, that we were all brought up with, or we've been hearing from experts, maybe in 80s onwards, all these things, is where you got to be eating frequently to be healthy, or even to lose weight or be fit or whatever it is, right? So I'll tell you a very good example. Even coming from my mom, I did a video last week about, is breakfast the most important meal of the day? And even that was one of the reasons for me to not be interested in fasting, is because I was brought up telling from childhood, you have to eat first thing in the morning. Food is important. If not, you're not. Of course, food is important, but nobody taught us when we were kids or as we grew up, and that our body has its own intelligence. This is a miracle. And today, what we know is like the teeny weeny bit of this miracle. The body's capacity, it's like it's connected to nature. So we were created in such a way, just because we don't have food, we are not going to be killed. Of course, if you starve for days and days, that's a different story. But that mindset is one. Secondly, we are most of the time, food had become a cultural thing instead of being, am I eating because I'm hungry, or am I eating because it's afternoon? It's 1 p.m. I need to eat. 1 p.m. I need to eat. 7 p.m. I need to eat. So am I eating because of the habit, or am I eating? So again, if you really look at it, we are in an autopilot mode. And we do this because we are supposed to do it. This is what we were told. But when you go into this process of healing, where I told you, I teach people how to tap into your intuition, you kind of start listening to what your body says. To be frank, your body talks every single time. It's that we are too noisy that we don't hear it. It tells you what to do. It tells you what to do. It tells you, and sometimes because the lack of communication, it's like if a couple doesn't have the right communication, obviously you're not, if you don't know each other's love language, you're not going to be able to survive, isn't it? So it's the same thing. If your body is craving for something, we misinterpret for something else. If your body is thirsty, we think you're hungry. So the coming to that point is, if you it is not necessary for you to be feeding like a lot of frequently as you come out of fast. And you should not be, because you did the healing process. Now your body knows how to shift from sugar burner to fat burner. So that means you have done all the cleaning of your engine. It's like sending your car for a service, because you cleaned up the engine, you cleaned up the filters and everything. So now your body can absorb better nutrients, and from the little that you give. And your set of bacteria that you have in your gut are if it is in the right balance, obviously you're going to, and if you're feeding yourself with the right choices of food, obviously you're not going to be hungry. So the understanding, I think the knowledge is the biggest component here, where if you know why you're eating, are you eating because you have been missing that chocolate cake? Or are you eating because you like to, indulge in that chocolate cake? And the other thing is, so these kind of question, if you look at, you go to a buffet and you're just eating because normally you used to go for the 3rd or 4th serving, but now you cannot do it, but you still try to do that because you feel that this is not normal. All what you need to stop yourself and ask is, am I nourishing myself? Is this food nourishing me? Or am I eating because I'm trying to be in that old pattern? So that's where I would suggest. And also, obviously, if it is for somebody with the goal of building muscles, or an athlete, if the goal is that, then of course it's a different protocol. So for them, obviously you have to focus on a protein building day. So you're fasting for detoxing, you're fasting to lose your fat. You've done a 17 to even a 24-hour fast or whatever on a week. And then what you need to do is, this is what I train my, especially men who come to me for this fasting lifestyle, but also want to build muscle, is what I tell them is, you break your fast with protein. So how it looks is, you're fasting for 5 days, and then 2 days you're going to do a protein building day. And so what you do is, you go on the last day to the gym, and then you break your fast with protein. So you can have an avocado MCT, and then you can just have 20 grams of protein, at least 4 or 5 meals, so up to 150 grams of protein. So this is kind of a protein building day, looks like, but you're going to be working in the gym, like something like resistant training, or you're doing the proper building workout, but you're doing a protein building day where you're not eating everything at a go, but you're doing it gradually and allowing. What's happening is autophagy will not grow muscles. The moment you shift to the eating pattern, you're feeding with good quality protein, you're activating something called mTOR pathways. Now, mTOR builds your muscles. It helps you grow muscles. So that's going to really be helpful for somebody who wants to build muscles or make sure that they're not losing the muscles because of fasting. And again, there is a biggest myth. I just wanted to add this. People think you're, including my husband, thinks that they're going to lose muscles if they fast. So, and again, there had been research studies done on humans, and there was a study released by Journal of Translation Medicine. They did a study on humans, especially men. They took 34 group of men and who were like resistant trained men, and they divided them into two groups. And one group was fasting for 16 hours, and one group was eating 3 meals or 5 meals. And both during the eating window were eating the same food, same quality, everything. And they did it for 8 weeks. And at the end of 8 weeks, what they found was both groups didn't lose any muscles. They didn't lose any fat-free mass. But what they found was the fasting group lost their fat. So this is one of the cool studies I actually share with people as well, because that shows that if you know how to break your fast properly, you can certainly make sure that you're attaining your goals, health goals, and not lose anything. So it's not like, I believe if you're a healthy being, unless otherwise you're on medications, you are having any chronic issues, any normal healthy being should be getting into a fasted lifestyle, because that's something that every doctors will start talking about it. I mean, there was a study released by New England Journal saying that doctors should recommend intermittent fasting, because they did a review of 1,500 studies, and they released it sometime, I think in 2020, if I'm not mistaken.
Is there anybody that you would suggest not to do intermittent fasting?
I would suggest people, certainly ladies who are pregnant, or mothers who are breastfeeding, and also elderlies, especially if they're on insulin, diabetes. Fasting is good for diabetes people. You can reverse. I mean, Dr. Jason Fong, he did a book on obesity code and diabetic code. He proved this can be done. But I always advise saying, if you have a chronic issue and if you're on medications, let your GP know that you're trying to work with a coach. And I always prefer to work in par with the doctor, provided the doctor is a bit open-minded to understand about, because things are changing now. But I always advise them to make sure. So, last month I had a client from UK, and she is a diabetic patient, and she wanted to join my program. So I got her to speak to her GP and inform what she's trying to do. So they put her according to my plan, and they were observing her sugar level very closely until it's settled. So something like this is how I work. So I don't actually I don't advise anyone who is listening to this podcast to jump into a fast tomorrow.
Yeah, I guess, the moral of the story is obviously fasting is beneficial. That is one, but also, what is the why? I mean, why are you eating in the first place? Why do you feel the temptation to eat? One of the answers you were finding is because, food has always been a massive precursor of our progression. You know, we've always been driven to eat for survival. So we always have these instincts to eat, and, you know, companies, you know, big pharma have recognized all this, and that's where you see ads everywhere, you see billboards everywhere, you see temptation everywhere. So, you know, that is one of the reasons why you're constantly thinking about food, is because food is everywhere, because, you know, it's such an easy sell. Let's just dangle this in front of them and they'll buy into it, because this is what people are encouraged to do. Now we don't have to do that. You know, we're at home, in the office, talking in front of the microphone, headset on. Food is in the kitchen. I don't need to go out to lunch for my food. So when you start recognizing these signals and, you know, see them as, you know, ancestral and, you know, hierarchy type, you know, principles are being passed down, you can see why the temptation is there. Another thing is greed. I mean, you know, humanity is driven by greed, unfortunately. People want more. They want more food, more money, more success, you know, and a lot of that is the ego. So, you know, going back to going into yourself and, you know, finding yourself more is another way to kind of allow that ego to come away and you to be in complete bliss with your being and love yourself. So that is great. Kiru, I have one last question for you before I close it down. If you could give any of viewers any advice on one piece of advice that will transform their life for the better, what would that be?
Okay. So one piece of advice is basically just understand who you are. And health is not something that you can get in press of a button. So if you want to be healthy, healthy means physically, internally, emotionally, and even with self-respect. So basically, to transform in life, whether it's to do with your career or relationship, your love affair or finance, anything in that sort, when you start tapping into yourself and start appreciating for who you are and who you were, how you were created, everything will fall in place, because we are losing the alignment. So this is what I would say, know who you are and the powers that you were born with.
And to know who you are.
To win this world. So you know who you are and the powers you were born with.
And how do you do that? Is ask yourself, nobody else is going to give you them answers.
Because one thing, because when we were talking, you were about the food as well, I wanted to you know, touch on that, is because it's always to do with emotions, how we feel, you know, we react. Oh, you said something. Oh, Christian told me something, so I feel hurt. That feelings, the feelings, everything is about feeling. Food is, today, half of the time we are eating for the feelings. Oh, I'm upset, I need a Ferrero chocolate. So
yeah, I need one
everything.
Pass one over.
I'm actually developing a program on that very soon, for especially ladies who are going through different hormonal changes and the cravings and so on. So, but what I'm saying is, it's to do with how you feel on the skin. It's all outer way. But if you really understand the value of yourself, I mean, this is how I transformed. I needed to look good. I needed to be successful, but I never paid attention to spend time with myself. Unless otherwise I was burnt out. And even that, I would go get a flight and go somewhere else and still go and spend and do shopping. But no, that's not what I wanted. What is your soul wants? So we don't know, some of us don't know how to sit by yourself. We think it's sad, it's depressing to be alone. I mean, so.
And I don't mean this to talk down on anybody else, but that is a sad thought, because you have to be your own best friend. and you have to love yourself more than you love anybody else. And if you think this is selfish, then any act that doesn't include the self is a selfish act. Because to act without oneself is selfless, and that would mean death. So, I mean, you are number one, and you have to put yourself number one before anybody. And like Kiru was mentioning there, it takes a lot of questioning to yourself. Now, you know, that doesn't mean you can't eat the things you enjoy. Of course, we're not saying that, but what we are saying is, be mindful about everything. Be aware of yourself, know yourself, treat yourself with the love and the respect that you would only hope other people would treat you with. And it's the basic law of attraction and how things work. How you treat yourself is how your world will shift. If you want the world around you or the world you see to change the way you see the world. Work on yourself,
It's
detoxify
basically
yourself.
What you said was so true, because when you were saying, this just came into my mind, like, it's not that we cannot enjoy a chocolate cake. I'm not saying keep away from, ditch everything. No, I eat. If I feel like, I indulge. But the problem is, am I going to do it for the rest of my life? Next day, or am I just going to do for 1 or 2 days and that's it? 1 or 2 pieces, or that's it. Here's an easy thing I keep on telling everyone. Ask anything to do with yourself, whether it's a thought, or whether it's a word you're going to speak to someone, or whether it's a movie that you're going to watch, whatever it is, and whether it's a food that you're going to eat. Just ask yourself, is this nourishing me? Even if you want to speak, you're tempted to speak about somebody else, a scandal with your friend, or do whatever you want. Just ask yourself, is this nourishing me? And then you will be able to move in the right way. The moment you ask yourself, is this nourishing me? Then you will be able to move in the right way, because that will just automatically shift you. Because I keep on doing this. I mean, you're tempted at times, right? And even like, especially when you're chit-chatting with your friends and we're talking things, and all of a sudden the conversation goes in, and I'm like, okay, is this nourishing me? No. Then I keep quiet.
And temptation is amazing, because what temptation does, it provides an opportunity to learn from, and another lesson. Like you said, if you question that and the answer is no, but I'm going to eat it anyway, that's fine. Own it. Don't self-sabotage yourself for making the decision. That was a decision you made. That's absolutely fine. And don't beat yourself up on the reason being. A lot of these embedded beliefs start when we are very young in our age. I remember when I was a kid and I went to the doctors. If I had an injection, I was given a lollipop. There you go. This will make you feel better. Yeah, I fell over. Oh, you've been a good boy. I'm going to take you to McDonald's today. So we associate these emotions with food. So usually when we're sad and we're lonely or upset or stressed,
again, oh, don't worry, here's a chocolate. Come for a beer.
give us a very short-term fix. But the problem is, look, it's not fixing the emotional eruption. Why are you feeling that way anyway from that situation? This chocolate, this sweet, this biscuit might give you a little bit of enjoyment, but usually if you're unhappy about the way you look, and you're unhappy with the way you look makes you feel, or just the way you feel in general, you're unhappy. So fix this, work on this, and that's going to start by giving up the things that are not congruent with where you want to be. And that is usually toxins, bad food, toxin people, toxin places, toxin
negativity.
Just fast from everything. Just sit in the room on your own, nobody at all, not even a drink of water, not even any food. Lock the door and stay there for us. But on a serious note, I want to give this guy a plug. I'm just gonna turn the screen off a sec. I want to share something. Okay. So if anybody out there thinks that you can't fast, okay, this guy, Eric, he's a very good friend of mine.
Yes.
12 12 days,
Yes.
no food, no water. And what is the most inspiring? He wrote this book within 12 days.
He wrote the book.
Yes. So now I'm not suggesting 12, fast for 12 days. The most fast I did, the longest fast I did was 36 hours.
Oh, that's nice.
And that was tough because, to be honest, it was not through choice. It was, I had to have a camera inserted up in my rear behind, and we needed to clear my bowels just to make sure I didn't have anything, because I was just training really heavy, and the outcome of that was not very pleasant. Anyway, so I had to empty my bowels, so I had no energy in me at all because I was depleted and dehydrated.
Dehydrated. Yeah.
And I had to fast for 36 hours. But, you know, I have fasted for longer than that before, and that's given me great benefit. And like you were saying at the beginning of this kind of episode, you will be surprised how much energy you have, and you will be surprised your cognitive ability to think, to react, and to understand yourself more. So,
and most importantly, to be joyful.
Be joyful to the world. So where can our viewers reach out to you, Kiru? What's your Instagram, Facebook, website?
Yes, I'm on Instagram. My Instagram handle is coach_Kiru, and you can find me on Facebook as well, Kiru Kishokumar. I'm on YouTube and LinkedIn as well, and my website is again kirukishokumar.com. So even if you search in Google, it'll take you to my website and my Reboot faculty as well.
Well, thank you for your time today.
Easy.
It's the same. You've got to brand yourself with your name. It's the easiest. Everyone will find you, but that's amazing. Thank you for your time today. You look great as well, Kiru. So, you know, you really do. You are glowing. Your skin is great. You're a lot slimmer. Everything looks very healthy. So whatever you're doing, it's definitely working. Keep that going and keep shining as well, because that's another thing, ladies and gentlemen, is when you feel internally loved by yourself, it shines through. Thank you once again. I look forward to meeting you in person again. All right.
Yep. Thank you so much, Christian, for this time. I really enjoyed. Thank you. Take care.
There you are, guys. There's another episode of CW Physique Transformation. If you haven't done yet, please subscribe, comment below, share your thoughts on this podcast, write in any future podcasts you want to see, and I'll see you very shortly. Thank you once again, Kiru. Have a nice day.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.